Let's face it, if you're a man, then you are probably dealing with problems and challenges with women. Now, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. Your success with women literally boils down to one thing. The bad news is, if you don't have it, nothing else will work. All of the money, good looks, and all of the best pickup and game skills out there will fail without you mastering this one thing. And that one thing is frame. The answers to ending your pain and suffering and to start living an amazing life with women is just one click away. Click the link and let's get started. Oh man, funny stuff, funny stuff. All right, we're here. Yes. There we are. I don't know why I'm putting that there. That's what I want. Seth is tired of having people want to punch him in the face, so it looks like got another Chad's customer for the face scrub. Okay, we're gonna try this again. I had to do some stuff with my Google was being stupid and was not allowing me to screen share. Kind of hard to do an entire video on somebody else's, dissertation and opinions and all that on video if I can't screen share and do all that. So yeah, let's talk about this. And I see some questions in the chat. That's cool. I'll get to them if you super chat it. I'll definitely get to them. I can't promise other than that. All right, so I'm going to try to stay on topic now. Links in the description, but I'm going to be covering a video, be going through it from a channel. Her name is Anna Psychology. She's a psychology student, it looks like, who was going for her dissertation, and she did it on the hookup culture and all that. So now, as I was saying before, I had to cut off the last video. Small minds talk about people, and that's not what I'm interested in. So I'm not here to slam her channel or her as a person. I don't really know what her opinions are and how accurate those things are. But what we are going to do is kind of go through this with a bit of we could call it a red pill lens, or we'll say just the lens of reality. Because she's going to cover basically opinions of women who are college age and in that hookup culture. And this is going to give you some insight of how they think and how they think about it. You're going to know some trends. Why am I doing this or giving this? It was interesting to me, but besides interest, what's the practical reasons? It's going to help you game this situation. All right. The reality is that men and women may be complementary as far as, procreating and mating is concerned, but we're complementary in a divisive manner. All right. Men and women love to hate each other, and we can barely even communicate. And the reason, of course, is because our mating strategies evolve differently. And so you basically have one person trying to get to win or get something over the other person at the other person's expense. Generally speaking, is how it works. It's how we're evolved. All right. And so women out there are going to try to get you to, we'll say, deal with their stuff, right? And accept them and accept their bad behavior and take responsibility for their bad behavior and to have compassion for them and acceptance for them. And then they got you and then they win. And what happens when they win is then they exploit you. Okay. So women are designed to exploit you. Okay. As a man. Now, does that mean all women are exploiting out men out there? No. Okay. All right. But how do you avoid this? Well, you avoid this through things like genuine desire and frame and basically having healthy relationships, whether those are casual or whether those are committed long-term relationships, having healthy relationships where there are capable women and you are a capable guy who can lead that relationship. That's how you sidestep the divisiveness of male and female nature and mating. Okay, so that's the sidestep, that's the win. But you have to be able to recognize it for what it is, and understand that until they get in it with somebody that they actually care about as a human being, okay, it's divisive and they're trying to exploit you. Women exploit men as an instinctual, thing that they just do, and men allow it and revel in it, and that's why simping exists. And we're going to sort of break down how they sort of think about some of these things and some of the thought processes there. And I'm going to be, right off the bat, will disclaim a lot of what I'm saying, and a lot of it is just more or less, we're going to have a sense of humor about this. Okay. We're not going to be so damn serious. So that's first thing. So if I say something, all right, it's me having a sense of humor about the situation. And the other part is, again, this doesn't mean all women. All right. Because all women, women just like men are human beings, and we can overcome our instinctual drives through our humanness and our frontal lobe and things of that nature. We can direct our drives towards productive means. So some women do that, and hopefully you'll find those. All right, so let's try the screen share thing again, see if that works. And that's where I got stopped up last time, and we are sharing. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to go through, and we'll start off. Oh, hey, that's me. All right, cool. That's the wrong one. All right, here we go. All right, so here's a screen share. I'm going to blow this up a little bit, and maybe let's go into, we're going to skip her intro, and we'll jump into the meat of it, which is the objectification. So let's look at what she found here with some of this. We'll play this.
So theme number 1 was women as sexual objects. This was something that pretty much every single participant touched upon, which is the idea of feeling objectified in hookup culture. And a lot of them referenced how their needs and desires were erased, how they felt objectified and dehumanized, and how this led to things like ghosting and partner violence. I'm trying to use certain code words so that this doesn't get flagged or demonetized, but just know that sometimes the replacement word is just a little bit more graphic than what I'm saying. So within the theme of women as sexual objects.
Okay, we'll stop that there. And we'll come back to, see, we go back to me. How do we do this? And we got this one. Okay, you guys can see me on the side there. That's cool. Okay, so we'll stop right there. Can you guys hear? Hopefully, let me know. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you could hear her thing. So the first thing is that the theme that she went through when she was analyzing hookup culture and interviewing women was that these women who are a part of hookup culture feel objectified. So right there, that will tell you that a lot of these girls, now again, we're dealing with, okay, got thumbs up from Joseph. Thank you. Appreciate it. That means we can hear good. All right. So what that means is, okay, a lot of these women, this is now, consider the target now. Okay. So we're dealing with women who are probably under 25 years old. So Anna from the channel is she's in school to be a psychologist. She's university. She looks, very young and attractive young lady, of course, which is why she has a ton of subscribers, because guys like to hear attractive women talk on YouTube, regardless of what they talk about. She's talking about some interesting topics though too, and that sort of thing. But she's in a definitely younger age category, and so she's interviewing college girls, right? So they're probably probably not as young as 18, I would imagine, just because who she's probably, I don't know who her target group was, but they're somewhere between 18 or 19 years old to 25 years old, more likely. And they're more likely definitely under 27 years old. And so that's our target, right? And so women in the younger parts of their 20s, which is what we know as their party years, right? That's the where their hormones are telling them to bang the most alpha dude that they can find and then cry about it on the beta guy's shoulders. And so that's essentially what their ovaries are screaming for them to do. Okay. Is to get pregnant by alphas, and they're going out and acting about this. But notice how there's a huge lack of personal accountability already from the get-go. Women are the selectors. Okay. So the reason hookup culture is a thing is not because of guys, it's because of women. Because women are the ones who are choosing who to give their vaginas up to. And so they're the ones giving it up to the dudes who are the a-holes that they're complaining about. Nobody forced their legs open. And if they did, that of course would be an assault. And then that's a totally different topic. All right. And nobody's condoning assaulting anybody. And certainly that's a small percentage, all right, of what we're dealing with. But notice how they feel objectified. Who's objectifying these young ladies? Because as far as I can tell, there's tons of guys simping on the internet just waiting to rescue some poor little cute little 20-something-year-old, you know, from herself. But those guys aren't being picked, are they? The ones they're sleeping with are the ones that are objectifying them. So what does that tell you right there? When they feel like, in order for them to sleep with a dude, they got to feel like sex objects to that dude. They got to feel objectified. They're going to complain about it because they can't keep the guy, right? Because the guy might be out there sleeping with a bunch of other women, but you know, she's not saying yes to the guy that's like, I value you for who you are. I care about you and, you know, care about you because, you know, you seem such a good person. And let's spend some time together and hold hands and go to the museum and let me hear about what's in your mind. You know, I mean, that's not who they're sleeping with necessarily. All right. Unless that guy is also super attractive and wants to bang them and objectifies them for that. Women objectify themselves. All right. And then not only that, let's look at it, you know, let's look at what women talk about with men. So women will strip down a guy down to what his D looks like, what his body looks like, how he bangs, how he acts, what he smells like, if he took a crap at her house or not, you know, after dinner. I mean, she'll nitpick a dude apart, right? But they're worried about, but they're being objectified. Get out of here, right? I mean, they're objectifying themselves because there's plenty, and the guys they're choosing to sleep with are the guys who objectify them. So point number one for you men is if you want to sleep with girls under 25, you have to objectify them. And I'm not even kidding. All right, let's go back now to click on the right one here.
There was the sub-theme of a girl has to do anything for a guy. The participants spoke about how part of hookup culture is basically doing anything for a guy with no questions asked. A really powerful quote here was, hookup culture kind of taught me that the only way that I matter is that I'm attractive for the man. Like, I don't matter as a person, I don't matter as a woman, I don't matter as a sexual being. Those things about me don't matter. What matters about you is that you are here for this man. I've been trying to unlearn the message of you don't matter, and the only thing that matters about you is if you're attractive. So pretty hard stuff to read. I've spoken on this channel about.
All right. Again, we'll break that one down a bit. Okay. So let's break that down again. Who are they? Why? This isn't all guys. All right. An attractive girl. This is the thing. She doesn't even see the vast majority of guys that she's not interested in sleeping with. She puts her attention. Okay. These girls are putting their attention towards breeders, jackasses who they want to get D from, and sometimes alphas. All right. That's what guys that they see as breeding stock is who they throw their vajays at. All right. And then they cry and cry because they were objectified. Okay, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I have no sympathy whatsoever. I have some empathy because I know that these girls are grown. I mean, this is feminism at work. All right. This is women that did this, and it's not the women it's not the woman that's 21 that created the paradigm, the social paradigm that she's existing in. So that's not completely her fault. She's responsible for her actions, but it's not her fault that she was conditioned to essentially destroy herself in the sexual marketplace and then feel bad about it later. That was feminism that did that. And that's not men. That's women that said, go out and behave with a mating strategy like a man's mating strategy. Go try to have sex with multiple people and have your fun. It'll be great. You go, girl. You know, go have your hoe phase, girl. That was feminism that did that. All right. And now these girls are miserable. Like, and that's the thing about this. You're going to see an overriding theme. They're out there being sleuths and then they're miserable about it because ultimately they're objectifying themselves for their own bodies and everything. And then people don't value them for anything other than that. And then they're confused about it and they wonder, you know, what's going on. And this is feminism that created this problem. All right. And so it's not the 21-year-old girl, let's say, who's making these decisions. It's not her fault that she was indoctrinated with this stupid ideology and that everyone around her is behaving off of that paradigm. But it is her responsibility, though, to do something different and to look at it's every individual's responsibility to look at their own behavior and say, how am I making mistakes here? And the lack of personal accountability is where I take them to task on that, right? I can understand making the mistakes and realizing, okay, that's not the way to go. But to cry and cry about it because men are the one objectifying you, no. Guaranteed this girl has a dude who's fixing her car for her when it breaks down. She's got the guy friends that she drinks with. You know, she's got the guy that is the nice guy that really wants to be her boyfriend that she's just not that attracted to. And then she's going to emote and cry about, how I'm objectified. And plenty of guys are like, oh, I know it's so terrible the way these men are. Oh, so terrible how they objectify women. And I'm not like that. Blah. Okay. And then if one of those guys gets a little erection, oh my God, she'll cry. I thought this guy was asexual because he was just my friend. And this is what they do. Okay. They're insane. All right. Younger women are crazy. And if you are the guy that objectifies them and acts like I don't give a crap, okay, and you're here because I want to bang you. And if you don't want to bang me, then you can hit the road and I'll go bang someone else. When guys act like that, because women have created a situation where they have to act like that, that guy becomes attractive. That guy's attractive because now he is demonstrating that he's better than she is. The guys that are going, oh, you're right. You know, you're objective. It's so hard out there being a 22-year-old hot girl. That guy, okay, that guy is not getting laid. All right. The guy who's going to jump in the comments, I'm sure, later. The guy that's probably YouTube deciding whether the algorithms will pick up my video or not, and then decide no because of a controversial thing. That guy isn't getting laid either. That's right, YouTube censor. You're not getting laid. All right. I know it just goes through an algorithm thing first, but there are such a thing called shadow banning. You can look that up, and that is absolutely me. But yeah, those people who simp for these women aren't getting laid. And the reason why they're not is because hypergamy. All right. A guy that is trying to, you know, excuse her for her BS is the guy that is the weaker guy. It's the guy that is trying to nice his way into her pants. And he demonstrates that he is less genetically viable and less sexually viable. Okay. And so that's why, that's why they're not attracted to him. The guy that is on his mental point of origin and says, hey, you know what? I'm busy. I got options. I got things to do. If you want to be in my life and you're hot, we're banging. And that's where it starts. And that probably is where it ends. If you're not a value to me in other ways, that's the dude, okay, who gets laid all the time. That's why the a-holes get laid all the time. Now, you don't have to be an a-hole to get laid. You can be a kind, benevolent person, but a kind, benevolent person who is on his mental point of origin and not simping for women and excusing them for their crappy behavior. If she's spreading them for some loser, and I say a loser, but maybe he's not a loser, but he's a breeder, right? He's just a D that she feels like taking a day. If she's doing that, she's devaluing herself, and she's effectively making herself a sexual object. I don't feel bad about it. And you shouldn't either. If you're out there in the dating market, you can't feel bad about this shit either. Because if you do, it's going to put you in a mental space of wanting to care for a girl, which means you're going to take her problems on and make them your problems. Listen, you never take and make another person's problem your problems. If she blew through a bunch of dudes and now it creates a question as to whether or not she's going to be able to be in a commitment and have a happy relationship and have those skills and didn't ruin her neurochemical system and all of those things. That's my explanation, but guys have an instinct about it because this has been going on for forever. Guys instinctually are repelled from committing to promiscuous women. And women today are hilarious. They don't understand how promiscuous they are. I have girls argue with me all the time. 25 partners, that's not that bad. That's not promiscuous. Really, girl who was born in the 90s, do you understand that would have made you the town I'm trying to censor myself a little bit. The town sleut, you would have been the town garden tool that no one wanted to marry at 25 partners. All right. You would have been ostracized 60 years ago. And I'm not saying we should ostracize these women, but there's a consequence. And that consequence is, gee, you've taken a lot of D's. I don't know if I want to commit to you just yet. Maybe we should keep it casual for about 6 months and you can demonstrate that you are capable of a commitment, because really you might not be. I'll shut that phone off. That's calling in here, right? And so get girls cry and get mad about that. Oh, he's objectifying me because he won't commit to me because I banged 25 guys before him and gave that up for free. And now I want to be in a commitment and he won't just give me what I want. Anyway, it's just a sad thing. I'm going to play this one really quick. All right. Just because it makes such a good point. This woman makes a very, very good point. And this is a very small channel. I got it linked. I don't know if it is any good. I just was doing some internet searches, but I found this. I thought it was good. Let's check it out.
Something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
Something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
Culture only exists because of women. Now hear me out. Us as women have a lot of power. We control the trends with what men do and how they act, based off of how much women are willing to give their bodies away. Right. So the more we lower our standards, the more we're going to create low quality men. If we only had sex with men based off of how much money they had, they would make more money. Right. If we only had sex with men based off of how they treated us, they would treat us better. Right. If we required commitment before sex, we would have more relationships. For those of you out there talking about I need me a hood nigga, that's what you're creating. I just need my back blowing out, that's what you're creating. I just want me a little sneaky link, that's what you're creating. We have so much power, ladies. Let's use it wisely.
All right. Okay, let's right. What is that? What do we want to slow clap that one? A little slow clap for her. Okay, because that was pretty damn good, right? She's absolutely 100% right. That's the point that I'm making in this video. We're going to go back to, of course, the other one and continue to analyze it. But yeah, the point that I'm making is that, yeah, she's that little clip in that little small channel, whatever, that woman was 100% right. The reason why hookup, and it's what I've been saying, hookup culture exists because of women. And it's not a big societal thing. Like the individual woman can make a decision to not participate. Wow. And guess what? There's all these dudes out there that would love to have a girl who's capable of being in a relationship and who isn't a garden tool? Okay, tons of dudes. I know because I'm in this little internet space and I see it all the time. All right. Yeah, sure. Guys want to get laid, but as soon as a woman presents herself as she treats her V like garbage, guess what? Dudes will treat her V like garbage. She treats herself as something a little bit, having more value than, what's between her legs. Guess what? Guys treat her that way. Okay. Throughout our history, men have generally been doing things to get laid. Okay. Female hypergamy is not something I would have ever wanted to eliminate for the amount of guys that struggle with that concept. It's a good one. It's the way we have been able to survive as human beings. Women driving to want to mate with better men has caused men to try to become better, to have more mating options. That caused us to become the dominant species. The technology you're looking at right now was created generally by men, but it's because men wanted to find their place in the world and do something cool to get laid. For the most part, okay? There's a few guys out there that are just, really focused on themselves and whatever their little goal is or their thing that they're obsessed with. There's those few people in the world that are like that, but man, that's a really small percentage. Most men are productive at all and pushing things forward and societies forward because of access to a female and her lady parts. All right, that's the way it is. Women, you don't want to be objectified. Don't objectify yourself. It's super simple. But it's important to look at this, though, because these girls objectify themselves and they do it for who? The guy who they perceive as alpha, the guy who doesn't take their shit, the guy who says, okay, that's cool. We're hanging out and you're expecting me to buy drinks and, give you some weed or whatever, or do whatever, and give you my notes for school. But I kind of want to have a sexual relationship with you. If you're not interested in that, well, then I'm not interested in, supplying with you with a bunch of favors. And then he's out with another girl. You know what I mean? The guy that shows up and is attractive, the guy that is, has a bit of an ego. All right. In the sense that he's not cashing himself in for some girl because she's pretty. That's the dude that gets laid. And she'll then cry and be objectified about it when she makes the decision to bang him. And then she doesn't get what she wants out of him. Right. So yeah, dude, I know. Okay, just want to say, guys, support the channel, man. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Check it again, too, because sometimes people are unsubscribed because YouTube just unsubscribes them. They don't like this channel. Topics like this is why I'm shadow banned. My videos are doing pretty good considering that I'm completely off the algorithms almost exclusively. You guys get my stuff because sometimes, right? And I'm doing a lot more things with the algorithms to try to improve it. But the fact of the matter is, if you talk about unpopular things, woke culture cancels you. That's where we're at. But this is important information, all right? Because women are out there destroying themselves, and then guys are trying to pick the pieces up later and wife them up later in their late 20s, early 30s, or they're trying to do that when they're younger. And what's happening, right? Well, what's happening is, they're just not doing well. This is why you guys are struggling in the sexual marketplace. Some of it's because your game sucks and your seduction skill sucks, which is why I got a mastermind group for you to join. But some of it, too, is because of these things. And you guys need to get better at selecting women, and you guys need to get better at knowing how to game it. But understand, if you're dealing with a girl who's 22, just got off the carousel, got off of her promiscuous phase, okay, and she's struggling with it because she's been kicked around by the alpha guys or the breeders, that she chose to sleep with, and they don't value her, okay? If that's if you're dealing with that girl, understand that she feels like she's a victim. So just know what to do with that, right? And the main thing is to not fall for it, because the guys that weren't falling for it and simping for her are the guys she was choosing to be with. And so even if she ends up turning out to be relationship material and all that, and is capable of being something more than a casual partner, if you're going to get there, you have to get her casually first. And that means you're not putting up their bull crap, and you're not going to sit here and, feel sorry for her, okay, because of her decisions. And I think that's the important point here that we're getting to. So, all right, so we're going to share it again, and let's go back to more of the video here. I need to get that out of here.
How I feel like objectification is one of the biggest issues in our current society in the West, and this first theme really exemplifies how that's the case. A second sub-theme was nothing.
So notice these little comments here. A girl has to do anything for a guy. You see, that's not the majority of men. That's 20% of men that they're attracted to. All right, and I'll prove that point in a minute. Most guys are not getting laid. That's and women don't understand that that's true because they're all getting laid. Okay, so most women compared to guys, if we look at sexually marketable women and women who are, at least somewhat attractive, they all have sexual options and they're getting laid. Whereas guys who are at their same level of attractiveness, let's just say a 3 out of 10 and up to use numbers, those guys aren't getting laid. All right. And that's the thing. Women don't understand that she feels like she has to do anything for a guy. That's the alpha guy that she wants to keep. Right. That's the breeder that she's competing with her friends for. That's not all guys. But because of their solipsism, they don't see it. This other thing, nothing but a body to have sex with. Yeah, because you're not useful to that guy that you're attracted to. But there's about a whole bunch of other guys that you're ignoring and you're treating like trash that you might be attracted to if you just open your eyes up, girl under 25, but she doesn't see them. So that's an important, point here, because if you're a guy who is under 25 and listening to this, understand if you're not getting laid, these women don't even see you. All right. They're hyper focused on some loser they're trying to compete with, they're banging and trying to compete with other girls in the marketplace for. And that guy might literally be a loser. It could be not a loser, but it could be just some dumb breeder she met, and she's competing for that guy. And then she's missing other opportunities. So from a game perspective, you have to be noticeable. You have to show up with attractiveness, higher SMV. No, you don't need to drive up with a Lambo. You just have to have confidence. The biggest way for you to cut through this stuff and the fact that you're being ignored is to demonstrate confidence. All right. When she says, "Oh, I'm a sex object. I feel like I'm just another body for him. I'm a sex object. I got to do anything he says." Yeah, she feels that way about the guy that she's trying to get and can't get. All right. And while she's chasing that dude, she's missing you and everybody else. You swoop right in there and you cut through all of that and you take that girl home when you demonstrate confidence. All right. It's a simple thing that shouldn't even be ignored or neglected, but for some reason is. When you can confidently go up to a woman and speak with social calibration and authority and engage her. Yeah, there's some that are going to be so tunnel vision on that stupid breeder's, D that they're chasing. But there's going to be others who are going to go, "Oh, okay, that guy's different. There's something about him that's different." Because especially if you're under 25 right now, because those dudes, those younger guys are weak. They don't have confidence. They're used to doing this all day, and they're playing video games all day. They're not engaging women socially. Okay, so the level of awkwardness for dudes under 25 is incredible. All right, so all you have to do is not be that dude. It's not that hard. Don't be, fat and smelly and out of fashion. Okay, and if you're a little bit fat, wear it well and start working on it. Because fat guys get laid all the time too. And just go up and be confident and be fun, and that's it. Boom. Done. Easy. It's super easy, man. Now you want to get dialed in and deal with problems and get higher. This is the thing. You can get a girl that's, Okay, cool. That was better than being by myself and watching porn. Okay, you can get that girl today, no problem. All right, just by doing what I just said. Now you want to increase your skills and have a girl that's high SMV, higher than maybe you think you should be able to get, but that's not true. That's a limiting belief you have. Well, that's where we get dialed in on some seduction skills, but simply just being confident and not caring, not caring about putting down some numbers in terms of, approaches. Dude, come on, right? And so that's what you can do with that information. But yeah, the best ghosted. Okay, women are ghosting men. From what I see in the marketplace, women ghost men far more. But it just shows you the solipsism, right? They're sad and crying because they got ghosted. When they're the ones who are ghosting guys, they don't even realize the hundreds of guys on dating apps that they're ghosting and starting conversations with and disappearing and all this crap. And these guys, some of these guys have high sexual market value because they're so solipsistic and selfish, to the point of selfishness. And this has to do with a lot of your girls under the age of 25. It's like they don't even see these guys. They're ghosting them left and right. They go, but see, those guys are not human beings to them. So you got to remember, if a girl does not find you sexually marketable or attractive, unless you're in her circle as somebody who she sees like as a brother or family member or something like that, she doesn't see you as a human. All right. I'd say 9 or 8 out of 10 women, they don't have any compassion for you. They don't see you as a human being if they don't think that you're sexually marketable. This has to do with evolutionary things as well. Guys who are not sexually marketable or seen as useful to a tribe was a drain on resources. All right. Those were the guys that were excommunicated from tribes. Okay. So instinctual level, she doesn't even see you as a human being if she doesn't find you sexually marketable and or doesn't find you useful in some other way. So yeah, let's where do we go here? Yeah, so that's with it. So yeah, she's ghosted hundreds of guys, doesn't even see them as humans, right? She gets ghosted once by the guy that she wants to bang. It's cry. Not really a person. Yeah, she treats men. These women treat men in large like not people. Yet it comes back to them. They cry about it.
So a lot of them spoke about specifically feeling reduced to the status of an object by men, only getting a certain type of attention and thinking that means that they like them, only to then find out, oh, they don't actually like me, they don't actually care about me as a person, they just wanted certain favors and pleasure for me. There was also a little bit of...
Understand, they're picking those guys. The guys that signal that they want something else but sex are the ones that they're not attracted to. So do you see the theme here? Okay. The guys that they're trying to have sex with are guys who are not interested in them for anything else but sex. That's the guys they're trying to have sex with. These are the guys that are not paying attention to them. And then she makes herself sexually available. And he goes, oh, look, cute girl who's sexually available. And then he'll go have sex with her, right? And then she wonders why doesn't this guy value me? Something more than, well, hello, you use sex to get his attention because that was the only way you could get his attention. And guess what? That's the guy that they're attracted to. At the end of the day, whether they cry about it or not, they don't want to be with the guy that's just a really cool guy to play board games with. All right. Or just a really fun guy to go to the museum with. Or the guy that's really good at fixing up the place or working on their, can change a tire or whatever. Although changing a tire is a good man skill to have, but you get what I'm saying. The guy that's going to come over and fix their toilet when it breaks. All right. It's the guy that comes after that guy to bang him that does nothing for him. That's the guy they're attracted to, generally speaking. It's being attracted to you on a sexual level is a prerequisite for having anything else with a chick. So don't let it fool you. If they're going to complain about it, they're complaining about it because they weren't able to make themselves valuable to that guy for other reasons. And possibly the guy was a jerk or an a-hole to him too. But then I kind of keep coming back to this. Do you want to know why, ladies, these guys are jerks or a-holes to you? It's because you keep sleeping with them. If you just wouldn't sleep with them and you would sleep with guys who weren't that way, right? Then you would have very few incidences. There might be a one-off or a two-off scenario where a guy just dupes you, he just deceives you. Yeah, that could happen. But for the most part, if you're picking guys that care about you and value you for more than just what's between your legs, then maybe you would have better relationships and you wouldn't be complaining about it. But they're not, though. They're in hookup culture, and this is what they get for that. And I have no sympathy for it.
Contrast in the something, because a couple of the participants spoke about how the assumption that hookup culture is objectifying in and of itself and disempowering. They spoke about how if a woman knows what she wants and she's doing it for her own reasons, it's not necessarily objectifying and it's very empowering, and it's disempowering to say that that's not the case. There was this notion that if a woman is objectifying herself for herself, that's okay, but if another person does it, that's not okay. Which, to be completely honest with, I think has a lot of counter arguments that I would present, but that's not really the point of phenomenological research, so I will just leave it up there. And the third.
Well, so that's interesting point and important one. And I'm glad she said what she said. There's a lot of counter arguments there. Yes, there are a lot of counter arguments there. It's this idea of, well, if I object, and this is female mental gymnastics. And as I warned you guys, there's a lot of negative stuff against women on this. So, that doesn't mean all women are like this necessarily, but they're definitely, most women have gone through periods of their life like this. All right. And where they were this stupid and then they got better from it. You're going to want to pick the ones who aren't stupid. All right. Whether they started off not stupid or ended up not stupid later because they got self-awareness. Cool. Right? Whatever. But don't LTR up. Don't put long-term investment into stupid women that use that talk exactly like these that are reporting the way that they're reporting for the study. I mean, what they're saying is, oh, well, if I objectify myself, then that's cool. But if he objectifies me, that's not cool. So when she snipes after the guy who, at the end of the night at 1 a.m. at the bar or at the party, and sucks him off and bangs him, right? Then I'll get, this is a good one. You should super chat me though for algorithms, $2, but that's okay. No, it's not just the desirable in what sense. So I'm going to I'll answer this question in a second. Yeah, not to get too sidetracked there, but wait, I even forgot my point now. Whatever, man. But so what is, I'll come back to it, but it's again, yeah, they think they want to be used as sex objects for the guy that they're attracted to. That's the reality of it. All right. And they feel like, and I understand if it's on my terms and cool, but if it's not on my terms, not cool. And that's where we're going to get to the next part of this video where they talk about consent. And that's where it gets really interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a longer stream, guys. Hopefully you're up to it for it today. But yeah, because their feelings on consent is mind blowing now too. And these are younger girls. And I'm somebody who came from a different generation. I'm not 21, 22, 23 years old. So I'm looking at this like, what the hell are we talking about here? So anyway, they feel like they're not the decision maker. And so that's the important part for a game sense. If you're a young guy dating these girls, you're an old guy dating these girls, understand you just got to take a charge of it and have authority and have confidence. They don't feel like they're responsible for their decisions anyway. All right. And so they're going to follow the dominant guy that they're attracted to, period. And they're probably going to blame you if it goes wrong for them. But that's the nature of it. All right. They're going to blame you, or they're going to blame some other guy, or they're going to blame guys in general anyway. And that's a theme you'll find here, is that there's zero accountability on their parts. And you'll see how interesting that gets when we get to consent. Now, what do I mean by breeders? Okay, that's a good question. No, it is the desirable. It's not just the desirable man. They sleep with guys for a million reasons. And sometimes they're sleeping with guys who aren't that desirable at all. But in their head and their little VJs, okay, responded to that guy for whatever reason. Usually it's the right concoction of substances. All right. She's usually drunk, and one thing led to another, and that's what happens. But so there's the paradigm of strategic pluralism, where we understand in the animal kingdom that women want to mate with the guy who is the genetic best option and who can supply all the resources and be everything for her. That's what a woman would want. So that's why, we see in, chimpanzee tribes, gorilla, all that stuff, primates, not bonobos. We'll get to that in a second, but they're all going for the alpha guy and they want to do his bidding. They want everything from that tribal alpha, right? And then needs they can't get met from the alpha, they'll go to the other members of the tribe for, sometimes offer sex for that. So that's what we know as alpha beta dynamic that gets talked about from the rational male, but that's, a synopsis of what we understand in evolutionary psychology as strategic pluralism, which is an absence of having the guy that can give her everything. She sleeps with the genetic alpha, or the guy that she's attracted to that makes her, downstairs wet, okay, because he has all the dominant qualities and genetic signals of being a stronger, better genetic option than she is, or than the other guys that are available. But then she can't get that guy, though, to supply her with her resources and the resource needs, right? And to care about her and to be there to do all of her bidding, right? So that's where she settles with the beta male and the commitment. Well, it's changed even a little bit because of feminism. By the way, I intend to do a really good, with some graphics and some cool video about this, because it's a concept that I'm pushing forward that nobody's really talking about. And that's the fact that we have shifted greatly. It's a good transition to some things I want to talk about here too regarding this video. We've shifted greatly into what we could look at in the animal kingdom as bonobo model. We're no longer, all right, genetically, we're still patriarchal. All right. On a genetic level, we still are, because we have not had enough time yet to genetically adapt completely to something else. But, there's genetics, there's epigenetics too, which is, the stimulus of our genes based on the outside stimulus or the environment. All right. And the environment that we've created, due to technology and due to abundance of resources that we now have, we've created a bonobo situation. We used to need male aggression and male dominance and male coercion, all right, and male resource collecting and stuff when we didn't have as much technology. 100 years ago, male dominance and male capability for violence was still a much necessary thing. And I'm not saying it's never necessary, but on a day-to-day, generally isn't. Technology has removed what made men valuable, which was violence and coercion and dominance, okay? And then being physically capable and having the mental and physical capabilities to bring in and secure a resource. So resources and security was the guy's job, okay? Maternity, raising the children, and social interaction too, by the way. Women are more socially maneuverable, and women are just usually can be better friends sometimes, although they stab each other in the back a lot. But women can be more socially maneuverable and socially aware than men are, just as a whole. Obviously, individual will be different, right? But as a whole, that's how it is, how we evolved. And so we've converted into more of a bonobo thing. And while that is, what that's created here is a situation where they're not going for just the alphas now, although the alphas get laid too. They're going for breeders. All right. So breeders are seen as they're the genetic alpha that they can control. They're the dumb guy that that they'll bang. All right. They're the guy, because think of it like this. All right. So here's what you have in bonobo culture. You don't have alpha males that run the society. It's the alpha females and female social alliances that run bonobo society, because males are no longer needed to protect. If you trace what happened, bonobos by the bonobo apes are only a few percentages genetically different than human beings. Same with chimpanzees. The difference between the two is chimpanzees evolved in areas where predators were around and they were fighting, okay, for resources with other tribes. And so you had tribal fighting amongst chimpanzees and a strict need for being able to not only bring in resources, but to be territorial, to protect resources and to fight each other off and stuff like that, to protect paternity through warring, chimpanzee tribes, and to protect themselves from other predators. Well, down south of the Congo, you had around the Congo area, you had these the bonobos who were able to grow up in an area where there's abundance of resources and no predators essentially for them. This reduced the need for male aggression. So it started to get bred out of them and socially selected out of them. Remember, Bertholdt's law, females are the selectors. This is why it makes me laugh when I hear these interviews from this dissertation she did, Anna Psychology did, okay? It makes me laugh about how they're talking about being objectified. It's like these women don't understand that they're the selectors. They're in complete control of whether or not they're objectified or not. All right. Because we've removed male aggression. Males are not allowed to just like grope and grab. And it's not a Muslim country here in the West. All right. Where in some of those, it's a fact that some of these, Islamic societies, they can just grab a girl and do whatever. No one's going to do anything. That's not the way it is here. Okay. So they're choosing to sleep with these guys. It's not an assault situation. And then they're crying about it. They're the selectors. But anyways, bonobo society equals bimbo society. Yes, it does. My good friend Glenn working on Mind Dates the movie. There's a shout out, buddy. All right. So, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. Helps the algorithms too. I don't know what this is. That looks a super sticker. That's cool. I appreciate it. Is that a real thing? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. So the breeder situation, the breeder thing, it's in bonobo society. Okay. There are dominant genetic males, the alpha males, but they're not in charge of anything. They're the dumb breeders. They get controlled by the women. They'll get told basically what to do by the women socially, but they're there and they're there to bang. And they bang all the women, get them all pregnant. They found out recently with research, they thought at one point that this was some utopian sexual society that bonobos lived in. And that they thought that aggression wasn't there because, well, everyone's just mating with everybody. And so there's no need for that aggression. No, the reason why aggression is not there is because women stopped selecting the aggressive males and started selecting the guys who are the genetically more powerful breeders, but, socially ostracizing guys who are going to fight for position. They've essentially stripped them out of their authority because males had nothing to leverage when males weren't needed to bring in resources or protect resources, they had nothing to leverage anymore. And so that gave female mate selection the primary selector of everything. That put women in charge. That's where we're at now. We're in a gynocentric society where women are essentially in charge. Males may be propped up in the role, okay, but that guy has a wife somewhere, and that guy has to placate to that woman. That guy he was elected right now in some office. He better say the right things, okay, or women are going to march somewhere, and they're going to be unselected for that position. Now, it's not completely converted over, but in a lot of ways, men are not the ones. We placate to the female social order. Men are used as tools to placate to female directives, gynocentric directives. It's just the way it is. All right. And this is why there's such a victim culture and guys going, oh, women, and these can't be responsible for themselves. It's this ridiculous thing that happens. But anyway, yeah. So in bonobo society, they did a genetic testing. They realized that it was the Pareto principle of women wanting to mate with the top 20% of men. It was even greater skewed towards the alpha male or the genetic alpha. All right. So in other words, women in bonobo society, even though they were in charge, were choosing even less men to sleep with. So you had all these women sleeping with a smaller amount of men. than what you had in a male-driven society. The female-driven society, they're the ones objectifying the men, and they're the ones sleeping with the men based on how hot they are, how big their D is, all right, how good they can get railed by them, all of those wonderful things, which is fine. Hey, be that guy. But that they're not. But if that guy is too dominant or going to tell her what to do, I should go to the next breeder. You see, and so just think outside of instincts for a minute, and just think feminism. They're being taught not to follow male authority, so that dominant alpha male is no longer as valuable as he once was. Now, granted, he's still valuable. He's still getting what he wants. All right. It's better to be the dominant alpha male. Trust me. But as far as sexual selection is concerned, there's a lack of dominant alpha males out there. She doesn't know any. She wouldn't know one if it hit her in the face. And if that guy shows up, she doesn't know what to do with it. She might be afraid of that guy, but she'll sleep with the guy in the flannel and the beard that's 6'3" and has a beer gut. She'll sleep with that guy who's kind of stupid and she can control him. That's who she sleeps with. The tall guy with some stubble on his face, and he's wearing a flannel somewhere. I just described, a bunch of breeders, at least that are white guys, right? And in the sexual marketplace. And she just, she bangs them and then she controls them and tells him what to do, and he listens or else he gets nexted. And she doesn't care if she ghosts that guy half the time. She's not really pining for that guy. She's just picking that guy to bang. So women anymore are picking these guys that they perceive as genetically not necessarily alpha, just that loser that they can sleep with and control. That's a breeder. He's got some genetic qualities that make her attracted to him enough to use him for sex, and then she moves on. Women are driving the hookup culture, and that's the whole point of this. It's not men driving it. Men will do whatever women say to get VJ, okay? To get into her V, the dude's going to do whatever it takes. And if she says, you know what, I want a solid guy who's responsible, who's got good coping mechanisms, he's making something out for, he's making his way in the world. He's got value in the world. He's going to treat me good. We're going to have fun together. That's the guy I'm going to open my legs to. If that was a guy she would open her legs to, then more guys would be striving to be that guy. But she's not. She's banging breeders. She's banging losers. Oh, he's so exotic because he plays guitar at the party. She sleeps with that guy, or the guy in the music festival, or when they went camping that one day, or, well, I met this guy on spring break. Okay, these are the retarded decisions that they're making. And so they make a bunch of stupid decisions. They win stupid prizes, which is mental health problems and inability to bond properly with a man for long-term relationships, and feeling bad about themselves, which is what we're seeing throughout this little dissertation here. So I got to kind of get through this here. So we're going to go back to it. But hopefully that makes sense about the breeder thing. It's even skewed even more now because we're a gynocentric society. It's no longer just alphas they're after. They're after, basically losers that they have a pattern of putting some type of loser in their vagina, and so then they put that guy in their vagina. And this even shows up as all different types like the black guy breeder in Detroit, for example, is going to be a specific type that a bunch of girls are sleeping with, which is different than, let's say, the white guy breeder out in Iowa. All right. But they're one and the same. They're signaling the same thing. They're dudes that they don't care that much about if they, they're not trying to get a call back. They just want to breed with that guy when they're in ovulation, and they're not consciously aware of what they're doing. They're not intentional about what they're doing. They're reacting on emotions and justifying things after the fact. So what do you do though for yourself? Well, that this is happening. So you have to be, if you want to get women, you're going to be the guy that she would sleep with. You want to be yourself, and as yourself, you're going to be that guy that she would sleep with. All right. And sometimes she's going to perceive you as a dumb breeder, and who cares? She'll know you're different if she hangs out with you long enough. All right, let's go into the rest.
Third sub-theme within objectification was...
Okay, we'll skip this on. Let's talk about consent.
And this is a really important segue into the second theme, which was consent in hookup culture. Because if a person does not see their partner as human, if they see them as subhuman, as an object, why would they ask for consent? This was what one of the participants said. Why would you ask consent from an object? It's an object. So the first sub-theme within this theme was, I want something bigger than just a hookup. So the reason I put this as the first sub-theme here is because all of the women I interviewed, and it was 6, so not that many, this isn't supposed to be like representative of the general population or anything like that. All 6 of them said basically they don't want to be in hookup culture. A few of them were in committed relationships, so that was kind of a non-issue. They were kind of on the fence about whether they would even want to participate in hookup culture if they weren't in a relationship.
Yeah, so let's go back to that. Actually, I want to demonstrate a quick stat to illustrate what I'm saying here regarding breeders and that concept. So looking at my notes, well, I don't even need to look at my notes here. I'm not even going to worry about it. I mean, the fact of the matter is, well, they did a study, okay, that ended in 2018, and then they need to redo it. But from 1988 to 2018, about 10 years, women report, so women are having, because sometimes they'll make the argument, well, women are having less sex. Okay. And from 1988 to 2018, women reporting no sex for a year under the age of 30 had increased by 8%. Okay. Whereas for men, that number, and it increased for men though, it had increased to nearly 30%. So 30% of guys under the age of 30 haven't had any sex in the last year. Now, if they were to continue that study, they're going to find that an additional 20 to 25 or more percent are not having very much sex. If they had sex within the last year, it maybe was a casual hookup here or there. Or maybe they were in a sexless relationship and it ended pretty early. So what is the, and so women, yeah, the women are having less sex too, but only by an 8% difference over that 10-year period. So what are we seeing? Breeders. We're seeing bonobo culture. We're seeing women shift their selection to the top, even more so to the top level men that they can perceive as guys that they can control, whose D they want. And they're completely ignoring, again, you're not a human being. And that's why it's funny in this consent part is that they're saying, well, I'm dehumanized. I'm not even looked at as a human being if I don't have sex with them. Well, yeah, because these women are going for the top 20% or so, sometimes settling with the next, so 40% of guys maybe are getting laid. The top 20 are getting laid by multiple women all the time, a lot of them, okay? And these women are fighting for those guys, perceiving them as the attractive guys with value, and then crying when they're not the only one that they can be with, crying when they can't control them, crying when they don't get his attention the way that they get from the beta males that they reject. They're completely blind to this other percentage of men, 30% of men out there. Women don't know that almost 1/3 of men under the age of 30 has had 0 sex in the last year. Women don't know that. They think because they banged like six or 7 dudes in the last 6 months, that's what normal. And that's what guys are doing. See, that's their solipsism. And that's what you'll see in these types of interviews is how they filter everything for their own bullcrap. All right. They think because they're banging a bunch of dudes, that dudes are banging but they're all banging a bunch of girls too. No, the guys that you want are banging a bunch of girls. So what does that mean if you're in your 20s? Spin plates, bang girls. All right. Don't let them shame you into being the nice guy that they'll never sleep with. Go out, have fun, have sex with women. If you want a relationship, that's how you will end up. So you'll select from that point. You're not going to select from the guy who hasn't had sex in a year and who's a really nice guy. Okay, that's not where you're likely going to be able to select from, unless that year off that you took was by choice, not by lack of access, which is pretty rare. All right. And so I'm not saying, use women for sex and go out there and just bang and that's it. No, but I'm saying do what you want, be the sexually marketable guy and date women, and don't date women who aren't sexually interested in you. All right. Thanks for the super sticker, bro. I appreciate that. It does help the algorithms. Thank you so much. So yeah. So that's what you do. You be the guy that they would have sex with, but they're all competing for those same guys, and they're crying about it. And that's that point there. And then they're mad when that guy doesn't give them more. Well, the guy probably, most of the time, there's a few guys that will promise more or whatever, but it's not a promise. Like, you're dating somebody and it doesn't work out, then you're not going to go get married. Okay. Like, she's not making a promise either. That'd be like saying when she decides that the guy's not for her, that means that for some reason, she's a bad person for not being with that guy for the rest of her life or making this promise. It's like, come on. Hey, I'm not expecting a guy to be mad at a woman for not wanting to continue with him if that's her choice. All right. Not to be like, she's promised that she would, can be in a relationship with me, and then she stopped seeing me after 3 dates. Like, come on, right? Get out of here. Okay. But then that works the other way around too. All right. So that's what's happening with these women. We're going to go back into the video, and we'll just look at these points here. So it oftentimes is hard for her to say no. So, okay. So this is what they report. Hard to say no. Well, what do you mean? You mean, in other words, you really want to have sex with this person, or you just don't want to take responsibility for it. That's what that means. And this is where the bull crap happens. And this is where you guys got to be careful. All right. Because this is where you have to be careful and make sure you're not getting Me Too'd, and make sure you're protecting yourself, because these women are going to bang you. All right. They're going to bang you if you're hot enough. And if they have any kind of regret later, then they're going to go, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't want to say no. It was hard for me to say no. I wasn't really in consent. Oh, gee, I think you were assaulted, someone says, and next thing you know, it's going down that road. So you got to be careful there. This next point is hookup culture really blurs the lines of consent. No, it doesn't. Okay. Women are sleeping with guys. Women are going home with these guys. Women are opening their legs for these guys. They're regretting it later, and then they're crying about it on a study. There's no blurred lines here. She's the selector. She made a bad choice several times, feels like a sleut, all right, for it, and now is going to cry about it, all right? And then let's hit play.
They were mostly leaning towards no. The ones who did participate in it had either kind of closed the door on that, or were trying very hard to close the door on that. So if you're painting a picture of women not really wanting to participate in hookup culture and then still doing it for whatever reason, it kind of begs the question, like, is that consensual? Is it consensual if, because of peer pressure or partner pressure or societal pressure, they're still engaging in these behaviors that they don't want to engage in? Is that consensual? The second sub-theme was it's oftentimes very hard to say no. And
I don't know, guys. All right. What do you think? We're a okay, so guys, guess what? If you treated a woman badly, let's say, you made a girl cry, or you slept with a woman and then it didn't work out or whatever. It wasn't consensual. Okay. You didn't know that she was going to be someone who wouldn't work out with. So it wasn't consensual, guys. Guys, in fact, all your behavior, everything you've done wasn't consensual because it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it. Right. Hey, you know what? If you took a job and it turned out to be a job that wasn't very good and you ended up having to quit, it's because, you weren't consensual in taking that job. In fact, if you put all your money into a certain cryptocurrency or something and then it tanked, because then it wasn't consensual. You should probably be able to sue somebody for that, right? Because your decisions aren't your responsibility if they don't turn out the way that they should turn out. That is how women under 25 think. Okay. They think that if I make a choice and it doesn't turn out the way that I want, then I wasn't consensually making that choice. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I made this choice. It didn't turn out like I wanted, so I didn't really consent to do that. All right. That is mental gymnastics and female like lack of personal responsibility if I've ever seen it, like to the nth degree. You guys got to be aware that this is just how they think. All right. And you got to protect yourself from that stuff too. And does this mean every girl thinks this way? No. There's going to be some girls out there that are self-aware and that aren't like this. And those are people that you keep a lookout for if you're dating them, for maybe being potentially a person to have as more of a long-term partner. All right. Let's go into, but the rest, yeah, I don't think so. So let's go into some other stuff here. Whoops. Hey, that's me. Okay. Yeah. So other things, a lot of, we'll say, assault culture in universities. Alcohol plays a huge role. Listen, these women, no one's shoving alcohol down their throats. All right. They're training men how to behave through their behavior. And then they're crying about it.
Largely about coercion. So many of the participants spoke about feeling coerced into participating.
The age thing I want to get to here.
Feeling like everyone's doing it. If you're not doing it, it's not considered fun or cool or attractive. Itself is characterized by not a lot of consent and non-consensual experiences that, again, I cannot get into in this video, but the percentage of participants that disclosed having those types of experiences was consistent with the data census on what we know college women tend to experience. Another sub-theme that I was completely surprised by was "that's too old for me," which relates particularly to age-related abuses of power.
Yeah, let's look at this one for a second.
Participants spoke about some of their very first experiences in this culture. We're talking like 16, 17 years old, were with older men, not like old, but like older, like early 20s. And that looking back in retrospect, that they think that's really creepy and really disturbing because they were practically children back then. And
yeah, now they think it's creepy.
Were some of the worst that they'd ever experienced, some of the least filled with consent, some of the most abusive that they had experienced, the most traumatizing. And
all right, let's make a point on that. And that's actually where I'm probably going to have to end today's stream. And then we're going to pick it up and finish the video. Okay. But let's talk about that because that's a major component here of something that is more of a pandemic than I think we want to realize. So many women, when they're of age of reproduction, we'll say, okay, so they're teenagers, their reproductive organs are developed. They have the hormones. They can go have, sexual intercourse, but emotionally, they're not mature yet. So many of these young girls are sleeping with older guys. And I'm not talking about the 15-year-old girl who sleeps with the 16-year-old because he has a car. I'm talking about the 15-year-old girl that sleeps with the 20-something, the 20-year-old, the 21-year-old, the 24-year-old. Okay. That is a pandemic. And I've done full videos on this, but that is a way to ruin a woman for the rest of her life. Now, a lot of people go, oh, like this misogynist guy talking about how women are ruined. Okay, listen, you can't just if I chop my arm off, all right, in a piece of farm equipment, I don't get to pretend like I have a left arm anymore. You get what I'm saying? There are consequences to actions. And unfortunately, there are consequences that are of a physical nature on the brain when women have sex with dudes. And particularly when there's a power differential. And I'm not saying that she's doomed and can never, ever, have a healthy relationship, but she's definitely hindered from that. And there's some work that she needs to do. And if her intelligence is, pretty high and she's able to get self-awareness, because self-awareness really is the key here, then she's got a good prognosis, okay, but she's got to do the damn work. All right. And so what's this one? Have you guys seen all the TikToks of young women bragging about having 50-year-old husbands? Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey man, if it's a husband, that's cool. I'm not saying a girl shouldn't date an older guy, but I'm saying that she needs to be of an adult age. And I'm talking about what we know about brain development, not culturally. All right. I'm not really much in support of a 16, 17-year-old girl sleeping with a guy in his 30s, let's say, or 20s. Not unless it's a sort of a cultural situation where she's going to be with that guy in a marriage for the rest of her life. All right. Which even then, that doesn't happen anymore. That's not the reality we're in. Okay. My grandma got hitched up when she was like 17. That was also way before the internet, man, and guess what? Not saying it was a happy marriage, but she stayed married to my grandpa until they both passed away. So, all right, we're not in that world anymore. Okay. A girl who gets hitched up with a guy under 25 has the highest probability of divorcing. Okay. That's the stats we're in because of the information age and the global sexual marketplace that we're in. We're also living longer. All right. So it's not like we're dead at 30. All right. Anymore, like in tribal times, we're living to 90 years old. And also there's brain development. And we understand that a woman's brain develops at least until she's 18, maybe a little bit longer, meaning that her brain is not in fully an adult brain yet, even. Well, what happens is when that 15-year-old sleeps with that 20-year-old, let's say that 20-year-old, 1-year-old, there's the power differential is so great that she is effectively alpha widowed. Even if that 20-year-old is a straight douchebag for 20-year-olds, right? To her, he's this amazing person he's a super alpha, genetically alpha guy. And she'll be in love with that guy. A lot of, especially if it's her first experience. Now, what does that translate to? It translates her being more likely to discard her relationships later, more likely to show up like a bitch in her arguments later, more likely to, have these feelings, strong feelings of wanting to reject her partners that she's trying to spend long relationships with. That's the consequence. And because it affects her neurochemical system when it comes to bonding, they call it pair bonding in a lot of the studies, but it's kind of a misnomer because it's not just one human being we could pair to, but it's the ability for that oxytocin to react. And you know what? A girl destroys that and she can't make up for it, because even if he's the most alpha guy that she could ever find, if he's an adult and she's an adult, there may not be enough of a power differential there, for her to make up for it. And she could be like pretty much screwed for the rest of her life as far as being happy with finding a guy. Not unless she does a massive amount of work to recondition herself neurobehaviorally and emotionally. All right. Which is going to take therapy. It's going to take a bunch of work. All right. I do that kind of work for men, but I do it for women too if they come to me, but it's just not a big part of my clientele. But anyways, I'll end it off here because that's the thing that you guys need to understand. And you know what's bad is that women are promoting this. There's not women who are in their 30s aren't saying, I made a big mistake when I was 15 and I was sleeping with a guy who was 20. They're not saying I screwed up. That could have killed me and ruined me for the rest of my life. I was lucky those consequences weren't that great. You young girls shouldn't be doing this. They're not doing that because they don't give a fuck. All right. They're out there trying to look the best that they can so they can deceive men. They're not out there, setting an example for young girls so they don't screw their lives up. They're trying to justify how their lives are great so that so that they don't feel bad about themselves. But then the consequence is these young girls emulate what they did. And everyone turns the other cheek or turns the other way. You know what I mean? When this girl is a young teenager with her brain still developing, sleeping with adult men. And they often do that. And how much will it screw up? Who knows? If she's their first sex partner, probably good luck. If she's orgasmed with that guy on top of it, if it's her first orgasm, I mean, it might be over, who knows, man, and a girl in that spot needs to go get a bunch of help. You in that spot as a guy, you need to not commit to that unless you know for sure, because I don't care, man. She may not be a person who's capable of bonding to you, and you're going to invest your energy into her, and what's going to happen? She can't do it, and she's going to be quick to discard you, and that's what hookup culture does. It trains women to be quick to discard men. They treat men like objects, and then they cry because they allowed themselves to be treated like objects, and then they try to get into relationships later, and then they discard the guy quickly. Why? Because they've been alpha widowed. Somebody was better prior to that guy that they're trying to settle with in their own minds. And if it was a 15-year-old and a 20, 21-year-old guy, even if that 20, 20-year-old guy isn't better at all, and her experiences as that 15-year-old girl, what she experienced this intensity as if he was better, and she'll never respect that alpha guy that she's with. And she'll never fully respect him if she can't fully respect him and doesn't look at him with that awe of somebody who's genuinely desiring someone. Guess what? She won't love that guy, and she ain't going to love you either. All right. Anyway, this is a rough stream, man. This is not a happy-go-lucky one, but it's an important one to look at. You need to understand how these young girls think, and you need to understand that they are absolutely freaking miserable. I know this is not going to be a popular video amongst the mainstreamers. I know this is going to probably be shadow banned to no end, and it's not going to get out there, even though this is important information. Women need to hear the negative crap I'm saying so that they stop doing it. And men need to hear it so they stop trying to wife up these chicks who've done these things to themselves later on. Not unless they've done a ton of work and they demonstrate that they're capable of it. Am I saying some girl who blew through 30 guys in her 20s is incapable of a relationship? I'm not saying that, okay? If she's done a lot of good work on herself and she demonstrates capability, good, all right? But you need to be aware that this is what's going on. This is what these women are thinking about. And this is how they think about it, which means the girls in this interview are not going to take personal responsibility for themselves to fix their problems that they created by opening their legs for losers and hookups. All right. It's the girl that says, I made bad decisions. I shouldn't have done this. I created this problem. That's the girl who has some hope. All right. To being a good functional partner. And as you can see, the vast majority of the interviews from what she's reporting, that's not what these girls are saying. Now, maybe they change their mind when they hit that epiphany, but by the time of that interview, 22-year-old girl, all right, she's not reporting that she has any feelings of personal responsibility for her decisions. So we know that she's not going to be very capable. All right, I got to end the stream, but we'll do another one and we'll do a part 2. So consider this part 1. Part 2, we will finish off with this video. Hopefully, if you guys liked it, let me know. Hit that like button, throw a comment in the chat or throw a comment in the comment section. Tell me you liked it so that I actually do a number 2. Because if you guys don't like it, don't care about it, YouTube doesn't care about it, nobody talks about it, nobody gives a crap, I'm not going to do another video that nobody's going to watch, right? But if you guys liked it, let me know, and we'll continue with this theme and this topic because there's a lot more lessons here. All right. All right, you guys take care. Thanks again for logging in and putting up with my tech problems in the beginning. Till next time.